Today on Lex Appeal, the government is forcing cigarette makers to plaster gruesome pictures of corpses, rotting teeth, and tracheotomies on their cartons. Now, I hate big tobacco as much as the next guy, but what about the First Amendment? If Uncle Sam can do this, what's next? Pictures of fatties on my bacon? Compelled commercial speech is a slippery slope, folks, especially when you grease that slope with bacon fat. It's time for Lex Appeal. Back when Lex Appeal was just an audio podcast, you had to use your imagination when I described scary things. Not anymore. Take a good hard look at the dirty little secret of the First Amendment. It's called compelled speech, folks. The government can force you to speak. It can force you to change your labels. Now, the good news is that individual private speech still enjoys privileged status. And the First Amendment's freedom of speech is also freedom from speech, at least for you and me. Not so for businesses. So-called commercial speech doesn't enjoy the same level of protection. Why? Because the Supreme Court said so, that's why. 70 years ago, they upheld a law banning distribution of commercial flyers in the streets of New York City, holding that commercial speech held no protection whatsoever. Now, 30 years later, they walked that back a bit and gave businesses some level of protection. But if the government wants to regulate commercial speech, all it's got to do is pass a simple test. Cue the test music. Number 1, is the government interest substantial? Number 2, does the law further that interest? Boom! So long, freedom of speech. Okay, you ready to put your new legal skills to the test? Let's do this. Number 1, is there a substantial government interest? Well, how about reminding smokers that smoking's dangerous and they can die? Sounds pretty substantial to me. Number 2, does the law further that interest? Yeah, I think pictures of coffins and dead people will do that. That was easy. So back to my important point. Bacon. Let's say Congressman Fats McGee loses a bunch of weight running around the track every morning, and then he goes on a crusade against those sizzling strips of fatty goodness. Fats McGee wants every package of bacon in this country to carry this image. Oh, that's nauseating. I don't want to see that. No one wants to see that. So let's run the test on this hypothetical bacon law. You ready? Remember, number 1, is there a substantial government interest in putting pictures of fat people on bacon packages? Preventing obesity and heart disease? Sounds substantial to me. Number 2, does the law further that interest? Well, you tell me, folks. You're walking down the aisles, about to reach for your Joy Jerky, when this picture reminds you of just how fat your ass is. You might think twice. You might put the bacon down. The law furthers the interest. This is the state of commercial speech in our country, folks. The government's got a lot of power. Now, the cigarette law is a good one. Smoking kills. Big tobacco can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. But we have to stay vigilant. Did we learn nothing from the Nazis? First, they came for the cigarettes, and I didn't speak out because I didn't smoke cigarettes. Then they came for the bacon. That's your Lex for this week. Leave your comments below, click subscribe, tell your friends, don't smoke, and seriously, go easy on the bacon. You're starting to get kind of fat. See you next week.